Namaste. I am Gloria Grace Rand here with you live today, and I am hoping that my audio is working. I believe it is. I know my speakers weren't working, so I wasn't able to hear the countdown music, but I'm trusting that everything is okay. And if anybody is watching right now and can maybe leave me a comment just so I can make sure, but I'm going to just trust that everything is fine. So, welcome to Live, Love, Engage. We are coming to you live on this blustery Wednesday here in Florida. We are awaiting a tropical storm that's supposed to turn into a hurricane later today. And so it's going to be a rainy evening and windy evening tonight, but hopefully won't be too bad compared to ones we had earlier this year. But anyway, I wanted to get to talking to you today about finding your true path in life and discovering your purpose and how it's, I believe sometimes, well, actually, what do I believe? What do I believe about this? This is a good question. I think we do have um, perhaps like one true purpose in life, but how that shows up in life can change. Um, What do I mean by that? How it's expressed. Yeah, that's what I wanna say. It can change, and it's also something that evolves, I think, as we get older and we discover new things about ourselves, and we may adjust things, but I think overall, there's probably still one overwhelming purpose, and but as I said, I think it's this that how that shows up can change. So, what's got me all up talking about this today? Um, I have been over the last couple of weeks was I guess I don't know if it was doubting my purpose, but just sort of feeling like I wasn't quite sure if I was on the right path. And that happens from time to time, doesn't it? I think it happens to all of us from time to time where we are start wondering, are we doing the right thing? And especially if you're in business for yourself, sometimes if you're not seeing the results you want, then you start maybe second guessing yourself and wondering if you should be doing something different. So I think all of that was going on in my brain, my mind, even as I was still doing some of the things that I always like to do, things that have helped me to gain clarity about what I want to do in my life, which is still continuing to meditate every day and uh, journaling, perhaps if not every day, but often, maybe more times out of the week than I don't do it. And those are all practices that I've found that have helped me out an awful lot over the past years. And still, I was just, even though things have been, I've accomplished a lot this year, and I have to remind myself of that. I don't. One of the things I miss about my not having my sister around anymore is that she was good. She was good for that. She would, when I would start doubting, what I was doing, and then she would say, "Glor, come on, get real. Look at all the things you're doing." So, for instance, I moved. Um, into an apartment earlier this year. I'm living less than 10 minutes from the beach was has been my dream forever and ever. I held a retreat this year that has something that I've been wanting to do for years, and I finally did, and it was a success. So I've I've done a lot, and yet I felt like there was still something missing. So what did I do? I went to the library and I went searching in the personal development section and looking for some books. And I came across actually a really good book. And I forgot I actually still have it for the library. I have it till next week and I can take it back next week. Um, but it's called Finding Your Own North Star. Claiming the Life You Were Meant to Live, and it's by a woman named Martha Beck. And I really like this book. It was interesting. I took 2 books out of the library. One was by Carolyn Miss, who is a wonderful spiritual teacher, but I got about maybe a quarter of the way through the book, maybe almost a third of the way, and I just wasn't resonating with it, and so then I picked up this one instead, and this was much more practical and down to earth, and so I liked it a lot, and she has a lot of different exercises in there. She talks about at the beginning of the book, especially about how a lot of times sometimes the reason we aren't following our true path is because we are following what everybody else thinks that we should be doing. And that can be when you were younger, it could have been your parents, maybe wanting you to pick a different profession than maybe the one that you kind of really were more interested in, or it could be, who knows, it could be a boss, whatever, it could be a spouse, whatever. And she really talks about helping you to get back in touch with what she calls the essential self, and what I would call your higher self, frankly. That part of you, your soul, really, frankly, that knows what you want. It knows what you want, it knows what you're here to do, and when we're too busy listening to everybody, we don't get to listen to our soul enough. And again, that's why I've always talk with my clients. I recommend, and everyone, I know I've said it on this podcast repeatedly, and every time I have a guest who is in this realm, they affirm that for me as well, is that meditation is one of the great, awesome ways to be able to connect with that higher self, that essential self. So I went through this book and I was doing all these different exercises, and one of the things she talks about is really, you know, focusing in on what are the things that you really like to do. And especially if like money were no object, and what is it that you would do if you had if you didn't have to worry about getting paid, if all your bills were taken care of, what is it that you would like to do? And and it was interesting when I'm doing these exercises, and I'm thinking back over my life and thinking about what was the things that even that I loved to do as a child, I love to do as even in my teens, and something that I still love to do. And it's been the one thing in my life that I've always done in some aspect. And that's been singing. It really has been. It's been singing. That is something that, my mom sang when I was a kid, and so I think I learned to love, singing from her. She had all these wonderful, albums of, like, Broadway shows that I would put on at the record player and listen to, and I would, watch musicals, and when I was a little kid, I mean, I dreamed of being on stage and singing. Judy Garland was someone who I admired, and, not her life, but necessarily, I guess she did have a sad life, but just when I would see her in old movies and see her perform on television, I it made me feel that was what I wanted to do. And over the years, I have been able to do that. Even when I was actually in my 20s, I actually got to sing with a band one time. I was in the church choir, and we had, like, this dinner or something, and some of my friends were in the band, and they were like, "Gloria, would you like to sing a song with us?" And I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah, of course." And I think it was a Joan Jett song, because this is back in the 80s. So that was cool. And then I sang in the choir for years. And now, I'm not singing in the choir, but I found another way to be able to incorporate song, and that is through light language. When I channel light language, and I've done that on this podcast before, is sometimes it comes through spoken, but oftentimes it comes through as singing. So I realized that I am following my purpose, and I think what perhaps I was having some doubts on was just not fully committing to it. And so I'm recommitting myself to finding ways to incorporate song in my life whenever I can and wherever I can, because that is what brings me joy. And I think ultimately that's what our purpose in life is. It's got to bring you joy. Otherwise, what's the point, right? What is the point? So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I forgot to write down the date this was. Oh, darn. Okay. I looked for a daily word today and I apologize. I did not write down the date that I found, but I was searching for ones on purpose. And so I think this one was from maybe, I want to say 2005, but I'm not sure. Whatever. This was about purpose. And this one really did flow together nicely with what I've been talking about so far. So I want to share it with you today. The affirmation is I recognize, embrace, and fulfill my God given purpose in life. And it says, a search for deeper meaning in life has led me to these blessed truths. God is good, and God is within me. And as I continue on my spiritual journey, I realize that God created me for a purpose. More and more, I want to know that purpose and to live for its fulfillment every day. I want my life to be used for good as God intends. To discover what God would have me do with my life, I take note of my acquired skills, my natural abilities, and the activities that simply bring me joy. These are clues as to what I am capable of doing and being. With these in mind, I ask God in the silence of my soul for clarity so that I may recognize, embrace, and fulfill my purpose in life. I am grateful to know my purpose and to live my life with meaning. And then the scripture reading is from James 1, verse 18. In fulfillment of his own purpose, he gave us birth by the word of truth, so that we would become a kind of first fruits of his creatures. So I love this reading. I just thought this was perfect, perfect, perfect. So I would encourage all of you out there listening and or watching today, if you have been wondering about what your purpose in life is, you can certainly pick up a book like the one I was reading because I do recommend it. It was helpful. And also do what it says right here in this daily word today. Take note of your acquired skills. Make a list of them. Write down everything that you know how to do because you might see some patterns there emerge. Take note of your natural abilities. What comes really easy for you? And absolutely list the activities that simply bring you joy. When you can put all of those things together, I bet you will see a way that if you're not already, in fact, living your purpose, you may even be doing it and you just weren't aware of it, or it will give you some clues, some really good clues on how to do that. Because as I said, I realized my purpose is to bring joy to myself and to others. And I believe it is through song because that's why you know, I feel I have a fairly decent voice. It's not, I'm not trained professionally, although I did take singing lessons once for a little while. But I can sight read music and I can even find harmonies sometime. I don't have perfect pitch necessarily, but I do okay. And And when I was in church, when I was a member of the Catholic Church, singing was really how that was where I felt closest to God. So I think there's a reason for that. It's because I'm meant to use my voice as part of my purpose. And that's speaking is something that I also love to do, and that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because I like to be able to share things like this with you. And then I also like to bring on experts because there's so much wisdom in the world. So many people out there have all sorts of different ways and they're helping other people through their unique purpose and their unique talents and abilities and gifts. And why not? I've got a vehicle to share them with you. That's what I'm going to do. So, with that in mind today, I think that today's episode is going to be a little bit shorter, and that's okay. What I would like to do with you all now is to share with you a light language message from the heart, and I'm going to set the intention that the message that comes through today will help you to gain some clarity on your purpose if that is something that you need help with. And if not clarity, that it will also strengthen perhaps your resolve to follow your own North Star, to be able to follow your purpose and know that it's yours and it's okay for you to pursue the dreams that light you up and not worry about what other people think. I mean, as long as it's something that's not hurting someone, I will tell you, that caveat. But as long as you're not hurting anyone, then follow your dreams, follow your North Star, and do that. So that's when I'm setting the intention. I'll ask my spirit guides and angels to share with us a message today that will help you in either of those respects. So Koyota koyano kiha kanyana kohe kohuya kanyana kohe so hakono kiha kokayono ki hanoeka sokonyo no tuha he Hoshina, Okoyo no koe ka hohe, Haosia he. Ono kaya no koe ka e hanoi sanea, Hani no koe ka kohohu, Anyo koe ano ke ahi ano si. Hanoi koe atiake a asoyo no kiase o koyo no kikaye asoyo no koe nage ha asoku ko hanoyo koe kane atoe tasiano hanoyo koe kase atu shiko Hakoyoto he annayo no eka e sariyo no eta e kayo no kia no kakaya no hae hanya no ako erinane hasuyo no kia chia toko hu haniro ko sanyana Oshanoki ekohua asonoko hayonoa esokoya vakre pato kanona ekonon tokore pato kashi karionoko apa ekaldete koyana kuyata huka shikariata hisakoya no koriata ta shikarioto to hasokoya totoya kanonea tatia hanyono koyata enonoikaya の横やたちがなやな。最後の子やたかやとんてやしや。そちゅうしゃりやの子やぱ。こりやのこりやぱた、きやきやきやきやきやとととやたたりやたてたりやとしやかりやな。かたとりやとしかりをなまきりやた。らととればてやせたけあやと。今夜の小屋たのゆとしゃの、こよとほは、かほしゃのけや、にょこはほ、そよほくや、かほやのしは。おこしののこやば、このよのこりやたてやかしかと、Hanokoriapoto Honyamokoria no Kuika Shikaria Totia, Esa Tochion no Koreabata, Ekoya no Nota. I hope that that message today helps you, gives you some clarity perhaps, or strengthens your resolve to really follow your true path in life, because it is worthwhile. It absolutely is worthwhile. And you have a particular talent and ability and gift that someone needs. And so it's your job to share it with the world, and or at least a particular part of the world, so that you can help others. And I I know that's why we're all here, is to help one another and to help ourselves and to make this world a better place. And I so appreciate you listening and watching. And if you would like to chat about anything I talked about today, or if you'd like to look into having a private light language session with me, it's a really can be really powerful when I do this one-on-one with someone. Um, I've had a client recently who's been very uh, seen some really good results from it, and she's keeps reminding me to let people know about it. So I'm letting you know about it. So you can go to engagewithgloria.com, and you can go ahead and set up an appointment, schedule an appointment to chat, and we'll see how I can help you. And I think that's going to do it for today. So until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.